Hey guys, Marcus here. Today I wanted to talk about the upcoming Gauntlet race. More specifically, I wanted to give out some totally unsolicited opinions and advice for new players who might be looking to play in this race, seeing as it's being co-run by GGG and it's on official servers now, but people who may have not participated in this race like this before. If you're a more experienced player of PoE, you probably won't get too much out of this video, but you never know. Before we get into it, if you like the video and want to see more PoE content, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to see when I put new videos out. I also stream over at Twitch at least 3 days a week, and link will be in the video description down below. So if you want to play in this race and you've never done one before, or maybe you have but you're a bit lost, first things first, what are your goals? What you need to decide is, what is it that you want to do? Do you want to get to level 50 for that sweet mystery box? Do you want to go higher for those other MTX chances? Are you looking to challenge yourself and see if you can kill some of the endgame bosses in this very difficult game mode? The answer to those questions are going to have a huge impact on your decisions for build and how you're going to play. What is your PoE experience? Have you played hardcore before? If you have limited or no experience in hardcore, my best advice to you is this. Be realistic with yourself. If you're newer to the game or you have more of a softcore mindset, getting to level 95 might not really be feasible for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just make sure that you aren't setting yourself up for failure by creating a goal that isn't reachable. The other thing about the hardcore reality is you are going to die. You're probably going to die more than once. If you manage to get back on the horse after the first time, it's a natural part of playing hardcore, and even more so during these Gauntlet events. So save your spare gear, know that you're going to die, keep the mindset that you are going to die, and your second, third, and fourth character will all go faster than the one before it because you have gear and you have learned. Hopefully, you've learned. With the Gauntlet event, there are going to be dangers that you're likely not used to. First of all, the event is locked to SSF Hardcore. Losing the character and all of its gear on its death is a rough hurdle to get around if you aren't used to playing Hardcore, and the SSF component makes your gearing quite a bit harder if you're used to playing Trade. So the monsters are all going to be fast. 20% may not sound like that much, but the zoom level gets out of control really quickly, especially when you run into packs that have speed auras or built-in speed mods on rares or certain monsters that are just naturally quick. So that zoomy monster stuff is going to surprise you. They're going to get up on you really quickly and hit you before you knew they were there. So 20% increased damage isn't really super oppressive, but it is something to just be aware of. The AoE. Oh my goodness. The AoE is going to be big. 70% increased AoE for all monsters is just kind of insane. Boss areas that you're used to being able to sidestepping are going to take up entire screens. Regular mob AoEs that are just kind of hit around you normally or like near you, they're going to clip you from half screens away. The final one to note, and it kind of ties in with AoE, is, and the most scary one, is GMP. Monsters fire 4 additional projectiles. All monsters, all of them. White monsters, blue monsters, rare monsters, bosses, everything. The danger of this mod can't really be overstated. A ludicrous number of monster projectiles result in an AoE at the end of them, meaning they can shotgun, or multiple of those projectiles can hit you at once. This combined with increased AoE is going to be incredibly painful. The last thing I will note about dangers is the Scourge mechanic. If you get the itch to hit that V button when the juice box fills up, just fucking don't. Don't do it. You may live through a few rolling the dice, but they will catch up, the house always wins, and you can kiss that character goodbye. So with all these dangers, you might be wondering, how the fuck am I supposed to survive? First and foremost, mobility. Stick and move. You gotta keep moving. If you stop, you die. And secondly, there are some stats we can focus on during your builds. Armor is a bit hard to overstate the importance of in the current state of the game. It's just incredibly strong. Determination aura alone with no other armor nodes, no base armor, can net you something like 20% physical mitigation, which is just insane. Block is a nearly invaluable stat that will save your life no matter how hard the content is. GMP and increased AoE is pretty tough, but if you block it at 75% chance and take 0 damage from it 3/4 of the time, that's pretty fucking good. So the new spell suppression mod is definitely on the chopping block for the next patch, but for now it's a crazy strong defensive mechanic against spells, and I highly recommend trying to get a few pieces of gear with some suppression on it if you can. Lastly, we have a lot of access to maximum resist these days via nodes on the skill tree, as well as a large number of shield mods that can roll on even non-influenced bases. So those are things you want to look out for and try to get into your character if you can incorporate. So now we come to the big question: what do I play? So I'll talk about a few things that are my recommendations, and I'll leave links for some YouTube guides in the description. They are by no means the only videos or guides for those builds. There are a ton more to choose from for even just those builds, and I would encourage you to look at a few of them before deciding on how to play any one build. I'm going to be playing a cold dot occultist. The reasons for that are as follows: huge slows onto monsters, enfeeble curse onto monsters always, consistent damage output that doesn't rely on crazy gear, and most importantly, the damage continues to go on while I run around avoiding death, which is going to be pretty key in the Gauntlet race. Another strong option would be an RF Inquisitor. The build does struggle a bit with its DPS later into the end game, but unless you're a very experienced player, the end game probably isn't going to be an issue because you're probably not going to get there. The benefits of this Bernie tanky boy, though, is that he is a beefy-ass tanky boy. They are very hard to kill in normal game mode, so pretty average survivability in the Gauntlet. And with this one, again, as long as you can stay close enough that your RF AoEs on the enemies, you can run around and avoid death while your damage ticks away on them. For a totem option, Warchief Totem Chieftain is a solid option because of its low gear requirements and the safety that comes with the build by its nature of dropping totems down and walking away. Also, if you get an early Facebreaker drop, it's very easy changeover to unarmed Warchief totems, and that is a much higher damage version of that build. It is a bit slower in the clear speed department though, so that's something to be aware of. Those are some strong options that I would recommend for newer players, but we can't have this conversation without mentioning the current undisputed king of PoE, and that is of course the Exsanguinate Seismic Trap Saboteur. This build has it all: huge damage, great survivability, awesome clear speed, good move speed. The players going for the overall wins will almost certainly be playing this build. I can't see them playing anything else. The reason it's not on my list for recommendations is twofold. For one, being that it is the undisputed king, it can tend to give newer players a false sense of security in the build and give you complacency that will almost certainly kill you. The other thing is that for the strongest version of the build, utilizing March of the Legion to rotate your auras as buffs instead of regular auras, the build becomes quite button intense, requiring micromanagement of several skills at once, and using the wrong one in the wrong order could easily spell death during the Gauntlet. So that kind of micromanagey stuff really isn't good for newer players. What are your plans for the Gauntlet? What are your goals? Let me know down in the comments below. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. You can catch me streaming over on Twitch at least 3 days a week. Link will be in the description. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.